judge by how open the rose is, what I want you to do is squeeze the base of the rose, and if the rose feels mushy, go on to the next one. You don't want a mushy rose. You want a rose that is firm to the touch, and that means it will probably last a lot longer for your budget. So I do like this rose. It's nice and firm to the touch, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with this rose first. We are going to be using 3 roses in this arrangement. I've always found that it's best to decorate in 3s. If you're decorating your home, it's good to use 3 candlesticks on the fireplace instead of 2 or 4. We don't want things to be too mixy-matchy, so that's why we like to stick with the general rule of 3s when we are doing floral arrangement as well. The first thing you do when you get your rose is I want you to notice that the rose does have some extra petals on the outside that look a little wilted, a little brown. Those are called guard petals, and they actually do serve a purpose. They serve to protect the rose in transit to keep it from blooming in its entirety. So when we get the rose, I want you to take off those few outside guard petals to make room for your rose to bloom even more. Another tip is if you would like your rose to look fuller today, blow on it a little bit. If you blow gently on your rose, it does tend to expand. You're just helping Mother Nature along. All roses should in time bloom and blossom and open up, but if you're in a hurry and you really want a beautiful arrangement today, go ahead and blow on that rose. So now that we have done that, it's time to clean off all of the leaves and the thorns. And now it's time to grab your rose strippers, one of my most fun tools to use in flower arranging. You're going to hold on to the plastic part of the rose clipper, have the metal part on top. You're going to wrap it around the rose, have a light touch when you're holding the rose and the light touch when you're holding the strippers. And you're going to hold it over the trash can and shake and shimmy all the way down the rose. And if you do that, you have removed all of the leaves and all of the thorns, so it's safe to use. And the same thing when we trimmed our sunflowers at a 45-degree angle, we put them immediately into the water. With roses, do that even faster. Once you cut a rose, it's estimated that it can start to scab over in 10 to 15 seconds. And if a scab forms on the cut portion of your rose, it won't be able to stay as hydrated as you would like it to. So once you cut it, I want you to quickly put it in your arrangement. Here we go. So let's quickly put it in your arrangement. We are just going to fill it in throughout your arrangement. That is one of our roses. I'm going to add 2 more while the rest of you come up and get your 3 roses for your arrangement, and make sure you do the mushy test. If you can go ahead and squeeze those roses when you come up, and if it's too mushy, go on to the next one. Thank you. The next flower we're adding to our arrangement are called bachelor buttons. The recipe did call for spray roses, but since the bouquet that I purchased at the grocery store came with bachelor buttons, that's what I decided to use. And I chose purple, again, to complement the bright yellow of the sunflower with the white roses. Now, bachelor buttons are do have quite an intriguing past. Not sure if any of you know, but does anybody know where bachelor buttons got their name? Sierra, do you know?
No.
Well, I'll tell you. Back in the Victorian era, rumor has it that bachelors would put a bachelor button boutonniere in their lapel to identify them as available to suitors at different parties and events. Rumor does have it that this was John F. Kennedy's favorite flower, and John F. Kennedy actually had a bachelor button boutonniere at his wedding to Jackie Kennedy Onassis. So, and I guess that's Camelot at its finest, but we're not going to delve into that any deeper. Again, back to bachelor buttons. I'm using these right now because they do add a sort of whimsy to our arrangement, and we are going to just put a few different bachelor buttons throughout our arrangement for just various pops of color throughout. They do come in sprays like spray roses do, so you are just going to take your clippers and we're just going to clip different pieces of the bachelor button off at the stem. Again, always at a 45-degree angle, and we are going to quickly put them in our arrangement, trying to keep them basically the same height as all of the others. So So again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You're going to just add different clumps to them. And make sure you always take the leaves off, the ones that are below the water line, because again, we don't want to add bacteria to our water. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up with my bachelor buttons. Actually, this is also interesting. Bachelor buttons do have other names. You might have heard something called a blue bottle or a basket flower or a boutonniere flower. Some people mistakenly call them blue bonnets, but Sierra and I are from Texas. Sierra's born and bred in Texas. Sierra, do these look like blue bonnets?
Oh no.
Oh no, they don't. They do not, no. And so we know they're not blue bonnets, but they have been mistakenly called that in the past. Something else very interesting about bachelor buttons is that they are edible. You can make tea out of bachelor buttons. You can add them to green salad. Now these have not been washed for edible purposes, so just take my word for it, ladies, and no eating the bachelor buttons today. Okay, come on up and grab yourself 2 clumps of bachelor buttons and start playing with your arrangement. Instead of using the snapdragons to add some height to our arrangement, I'm going to be using some pampas plume calosia instead, just because this is what came with the bouquet of flowers that I purchased for demo purposes. I really like the look of the pampas plume calosia. It reminds me of waves of wheat in Kansas, especially this golden color of the pampas plume calosia. But I'm going, since I ran out of that, I'm going to be using the purplish color instead. I really like using this in an arrangement because it is rather hardy. It should last quite a while in your arrangement. It does add some height and structure to your arrangement. It comes in clumps, so what you're going to do is you're going to just take off different pieces of it, again always keeping in mind that you're going to cut everything at a 45-degree angle. So I'm just going to cut this piece off and I'm going to stick it towards the center of my arrangement. Now you'll find that your grid is starting to get a little bit full the more flowers we add. So at this point in time, you should be extra careful so you're not destroying the tic-tac-toe grid. So use a very gentle hand, not a very heavy hand. These grasses are very common in Northwest Indiana and in Kentucky. So that's why you're going to be finding a lot of these at your farmers markets and your grocery stores this time of year. If you shop at Meijer, you will find lots of pampas grasses in the median. If you like the look of native grasses, that's called pampas grass. So this is similar. And again, it just adds a nice little height element to your arrangement, and it's adding color throughout. It does come in various shades of purples and the wheat color and a dark brown, but again, we just chose the purple because it does complement the other flowers nicely. And so this would be, and this is the pampas grass. So I want you to go ahead and grab 2 different bundles of your pampas grass, the pampas plume, and then you're going to just start playing with different sprigs of it, and again, cut it at a 45-degree angle, and we'll just play with your arrangements now with the pampas plume. All right, thanks, Sierra. The last flower we're going to add to our arrangement for a little bit of a textural element, a whimsical touch, is the coxcomb celosia. The coxcomb celosia is a cousin to the plume celosia. Again, it's celosia, not calosia, like I misspoke earlier. But a coxcomb celosia is nicknamed that because it looks like the rooster's cock. It looks like the rooster's plumage or the feathers. That's why it's called that. It's also called the brain celosia because it's said to mimic the look of a brain. We like using something like this in your arrangement because it is very hardy. You can tell just by the stem how hardy it is. It does add a neat textural element to it. It's very bright, very colorful. It lasts quite a while. Again, because of this, the thick stalk, it tells us it'll probably last a while. It will last about 5 to 14 days in your arrangement. So hopefully you'll be able to enjoy this for quite some time. Same thing, you are going to always trim at a 45-degree angle before you put it into your arrangement. We're going to add 2 of these. I like to kind of find the little holes in your arrangement. Again, it's probably harder to find the holes. So for now, I'm just going to see if I can get one to stick in there. We're going to add one more. Again, you can play with the way it looks. You should turn your vase around and try to fit it into where you find a hole in your arrangement. There's no right or wrong way to add any textural element or flower in your arrangement. Just see what your eye finds visually appealing. I'm going to add one more as you all come up and grab your 2 stems of the brain or coxcomb celosia. Thank you. There you have it, ladies. This is your family farm arrangement. If you would like to add some, you can either add some ruscus to help continue to frame your arrangement. If you need to add, if you have some gaps or some holes in your arrangement, feel free to come up and help yourself, and you can grab any extra leftover flowers we have to add some little extra life into your arrangement. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Everyone's arrangement is slightly different, but yet they all look beautiful. I love to showcase your talents by getting a group picture together. So I'll give you a few minutes to finish things up, and then we'll take all these outside and do a fun group photo. One moment. We have a distraction.
Okay.
Sorry about that. When you get home, again, the first thing you do is, Sierra, do you remember?
No.
Fill up your vase with water. Again, don't use ice cold water. I want you just to use nice room temperature water, but definitely fill up to the top of your vase. Again, try not to overflow your vase with water because we really want to protect your tape grid. So that's the first thing you do. If you'd like to grab one of the cardboard boxes to transport your arrangement home, you can. When you get home, make sure you tear the sides of the boxes down so that way you don't damage the flowers when you take it out of the box. Again, when you're taking care of your arrangement during the next week or so, make sure you baby it. Again, keep it out of the sunlight, keep it out of hot temperatures or extra cold temperatures, away from the air conditioning or heating vent in your house. And if you see a flower die, just pull it out. It's okay. You can replace it with something else, or you can move something else around, but you don't want to keep a dead flower in your arrangement. Surely that's bad karma, and it also really will affect the rest of your flowers. We don't want bacteria to grow in your water. So go ahead and take out dead flowers. Again, add water every few days, especially the first few days. I would say around the 3rd day, you probably want to take out the water and put new water in. One way to do that is just to take out maybe one of your flowers in the center and very carefully pour out that water and use room temperature water, mix it with a little bit of the plant food packet that I left out for you, and put that in your arrangement to keep it healthy. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Again, just make sure you baby these. These are like toddlers or teenagers. The more TLC you give them, the better results you will get in the end. So take very good care of your arrangements. I've learned it's best not to keep arrangements by a hot stove or a window with lots that brings in lots of light. My arrangements tend to do best by my kitchen sink. Sierra, don't show that because it's too messy right now. Or a bathroom, or any other like small area that doesn't get a whole lot of light exposure. You definitely want to take care of your flowers. And truly, you can do this. You can find one of those bouquets at Meijer for $19.99, or Strachan Van Til has, you can buy 3 bunches of various flowers for $12. So you can buy a bunch of sunflowers, a bunch of roses, and some ruscus for $12. If you add a few of those different 3 for $12 packs, you have a beautiful arrangement for $24, and you can probably get 2 arrangements out of those 6 bundles. Let's see if you had a great time today, and I hope that you all did. Make sure you check out other events that we have on our calendar. Off the top of my head, I know we have a Thanksgiving centerpiece workshop lined up at Pick's Tavern. We also have our very popular Christmas wreath decorating workshop for early December. That tends to fill up pretty quickly, so make sure if you're interested, check that information out. I did print out all of the events on the handouts at all of your stations, so you'll be able to see at a glance what's coming up. And also, the biggest draw for me to Alice's Table is the give back component. I love that Alice's Table believes in supporting local charities, and that is near and dear to my heart. If you have a charity you'd like to support, your daughter's cheer squad, your son son's football team, if you have a charity, that United Way, if you have different charities that are really close to you and you'd like to throw a fundraiser, please speak with me about that. Your organization can earn up to 25% of ticket sales depending on volume of ticket sales. So that's definitely something to talk to me about. If you're planning a bachelorette party, if you're planning a girls' night out, this is a perfect